Trish. I'm starting it right now. Let me get my screen up. You going? Or am I going?
You're going.
Okay, good evening, fam. Boy, I got to read all these instructions now. Good evening, family. Welcome to the Primary Purpose Big Book Study Group. Our study follows a 96-week cycle that begins on the title page and continues through page 164. We study the spiritual experience in Appendix 2 3 times where the asterisk refers us to do it there. We also study Dr. Bob's Nightmare, the 12 traditions, and we close our study with week 96 by studying the spiritual experience as a standalone meeting. Our meeting began on January 7th, 2020, using this format, and we are grateful that you are here to study with us. My name is Jamie, and I am a very grateful recovered alcoholic.
And my name is Trish, and I'm a recovered alcoholic.
Before we begin, please be aware that the first 90 minutes of this meeting will be recorded in audio only for our website podcast and our YouTube channel. If you miss the study portion, you can listen to it online. Study pages will also be listed in chat, and be sure to check out the information posted in chat throughout the meeting. And Trish, would you repost tonight's study portion and announcements? I've got a couple of announcements for you. Primary Purpose is part of District 40 here in Tennessee, and also part of Area 64 in Tennessee. And we will be, District 40 will be one of 5 districts that will be participating and hosting our next third quarter assembly to be held at the Space Center in Tullahoma, Tennessee. It's been many years since District 40 has had the opportunity to participate as part of the host committee, so that is wonderful. For those of you who are home group members and have been part of the process of the letter that we sent to GSO regarding why we withheld funds due to lack of transparency and so on, the second letter has been given to our delegate. That has been passed on to our Southeast Regional Trustee. They will have a conversation about that at General Conference this next week. And not that we can change anything of the past, but the main purpose of that letter is so that the lack of transparency and some of the things that happened through the COVID years and coming out of COVID don't happen again. The groups in Alcoholics Anonymous are the top of the food chain in Alcoholics Anonymous. The groups are the boss, and there were many things that weren't revealed to the groups. So moving forward, we hope that there will be complete transparency, and it was just a letter written in awareness of, you guys did this, we're not happy about it. So, that being said, that's all I have for announcements. Tricia, I think you have one on workshop or something?
I do. We will be doing a service workshop this Saturday, the 25th, at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, 9 a.m. Central Time. If you're the 1:30 and the 12:30 I put in the chat, disregard those. Those are incorrect. But those are specifically for anyone who will be coming into service in the group. But also for anyone who wants to know what's going on in the group, how to get involved, what our different service positions are. And that will be in this room. And I hope to see some of you there.
Thank you, Trish. And tonight's recap page will begin on page 63, starting out with Next We Launched Out, and end on page 66 with Triumphs Worth short-lived, and Shayla will be our recap reader tonight. Our study portion will begin on page 66. It is plain that a life, and end on page 67, set these matters straight, and that will be read by Nancy tonight.
Please take a moment to settle in and get comfortable. We take our Big Book study seriously, and we want everyone to feel present and connected as we begin. In a moment, we'll take a 3-minute meditation followed by our family's foglight prayer. As we move into the study, please help us maintain a peaceful environment. Be mindful of background noise when you are unmuted. If you wouldn't do it in a live meeting, please don't do it here on Zoom. And also, please stay muted during other people's shares, and we will call on hands in the order that they are raised.
Give me just a second, folks. Trish, are you screen sharing something?
No. Oh,
okay.
Sorry. I didn't unshare when I was doing the... Okay, you're good now.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Let me optimize here. And welcome in the monks and enjoy your time with God, folks. Everybody stay in meditative mode for just a second. I forgot to pull up the fog light prayer, so let me pull it up. My apologies for the delay. But you know what? It'll all be okay. Okay, you should see it now. It should be on your screen in front of you. For those of you who wish, please join us in our family's fog light prayer. God, let your love shine through us like a fog light, so that those that are lost, sick, and dying can find your love through us. Amen.
And going just a little bit out of order from the forward to the first edition of Alcoholics Anonymous. We of Alcoholics Anonymous are many thousands of men and women who have recovered from a seemingly hopeless state of mind and body. To show other alcoholics precisely how we have recovered is the main purpose of this book and of this group. And now let's have our secretary's report. Come on in, Kenny.
Yes, hi, my name is Kenny. I'm your recovered alcoholic secretary. I've asked Jacqueline to read the recovered statement to explain why many in this group identify as recovered.
Just a second, Jackie. Let me get it blown up. There you go. Oh, Trish, unmute her.
Hi everyone, my name is Jacqueline M. I'm a recovered alcoholic. Recovered. We are not cured of alcoholism. Recovered, but not cured. That presents a conflict to some alcoholics. If we were cured, we would be able to drink responsibly. No, we are not cured. The allergy, no, the allergy, no, what's that?
Allergic?
The allergic reaction to alcohol will remain with us for a lifetime, but we have been restored to sanity. That was the problem. The main problem of the alcoholic centered in the mind rather than his body, page 23. Now, we are now saying where alcohol is concerned. Consequently, we have recovered. Thank you.
Thank you, Jacqueline. We meet every Tuesday at 5:30 p.m. Central Time for fellowship, 6:30 Central Time for Big Book study. Chad is disabled during the study for focus. From the forward to the second edition, page XX, of alcoholics who have recovered from AA, from alcoholics who have came to AA and really tried, 50% got sober at once and remained that way. 25% sobered up after some relapses. And among the remainder, those who stayed on with AA showed improvement. Joining any of those joining our meeting for the first time, please raise your hand. We welcome you.
We got a couple out there. I believe we have Kit Kat and we have Chris. Welcome. And Karen is with us tonight. And I don't see anybody else, but we are glad you are here. Thank you.
Now, a show of hands of our recovered alcoholics. These are your potential sponsors. Okay. If anyone celebrating the milestone this evening?
30, 60, 90 years? Anybody?
I know we've got one.
Yep, we do.
Kit Kat, what you got? Come on in.
I have 150 days today.
Fabulous.
Congratulations. That is wonderful.
And Rick, I got something for you. There you go.
Congratulations, brother. Back to you, Kenny.
If you are in need of a big book, we can send you a large print copy. Please let one of us know by chat after the meeting. Please practice the 7th tradition using the link in chat. We encourage you to get a big book and work with an untreated alcoholic. Thank you and see you next week.
Thank you, Kenny. And yeah, sorry, folks, we're working with a revised format, so my apologies for missing a an earlier part that Trish filled in on. This is yours, Trish.
It is. From There Is a Solution. The tremendous fact for every one of us is that we have discovered a common solution. We have a way out on which we can absolutely agree and upon which we can grow in brotherly and harmonious action. This is the great news this book carries to those who suffer from alcoholism. This is an open meeting and everyone is welcome. You're not required to identify yourself if you don't want to. Your anonymity will always be protected, and we ask that you protect ours. Our group is for those who want to recover from alcoholism and have the desire to stop drinking for good and all. Each member of Alcoholics Anonymous is a potential sponsor of a new member and should clearly recognize the obligations and duties of such a responsibility.
And time for our traditionalists. Last week we reviewed Tradition 1. Tonight we will be reviewing Tradition 2, long form and short form and long form. Please refer to page 562 in the back of your big book. And Linda, welcome. Come on in.
Okay, apologies. I didn't have my step book, but I do now, and I was just looking at the format of what Shayna sent to me, so I'm going to follow exactly what I was given. Thank you for sending that to me. It makes it very simple for me. Thank you. Okay. The long form. Okay, step 2. I'll read the long form, and then I'll read the short form. And then my personal reflection. Hold on. This is 2. Tradition 2. Tradition 2. For our group purpose, there is but one ultimate authority, a loving God as he may express himself in our group conscious. And then when you go to step 2, Tradition 2. Hold on for a moment. Tradition 2. Right here it says, for our group purpose, there is but one ultimate authority. A loving God as he may express himself in our group conscious, and our leaders are but trusted servants. They do not govern. Okay, now my personal reflections. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just basically share about what I was told the second tradition is about, because I didn't understand. So this is something that I obtained online, and it breaks it down. And this is something that someone gave me, because I was not understanding what Tradition 2 was when I was doing service, and they broke it down to me, because I started to have a problem with how a group was doing their, how they were doing their policies. And someone gave me this, and it says, our leaders are but trusted servants. They do not govern, and it establishes that no member has authority over others, and decisions are made through a collective, prayerful, group conscious, ensuring humility and service. Key aspects of Tradition 2. Ultimate authority. The group conscious is the ultimate authority, which is believed to be guided by a higher power rather than an individual member. Trusted servants, leaders, such as the chairperson, secretaries of GSR, etc., they are entrusted with responsibilities, but they do not have the authority or govern or command the group. Group conscious, decisions are reached through discussion, consideration of the minority opinion, and majority vote, representing the collective wisdom of the group. Rotation of leadership, this is very important. To avoid the concentration of power, service positions are rotated, ensuring no one holds a position of authority forever. Focus on service. The purpose of leadership is to serve the group, such as organizing meetings and handling finances. Tradition 2 addresses the risk of playing God by encouraging members to let go of personal agendas and trust the group's collective decision making, even when it differs from their personal preferences. And one lady was told to, there was something that she was given through her sponsor, and it was a whole checklist. And one, do I criticize or do I trust and support my group officers, AA committees, newcomers and old timers? Two, am I absolutely trustworthy, even in secret with AA 12 step jobs or other AA responsibilities? Three, do I look for credit in my AA jobs, praise for any AA ideas? Four, do I have to save face in group discussions, or can I yield in good spirit to the group conscience and work cheerfully along with it? Five, although I have been sober for a few years, am I still willing to serve my turn at AA chores? Six, in group discussions, do I sound off about matters on which I have no experience and little knowledge? And I like this tradition because it keeps everyone right size. You know, I can end up being a bleaking deacon or elder statesman, and I've been on both sides. So I am glad that this information is here, and I'm glad that Shana gave me a whole list of what I should follow when I'm sharing on the traditions. I don't want to get off key. I hope I kept it simple. Thank you for letting me share.
Thank you for your service tonight, Linda. That was absolutely perfect, and we're glad to have you as part of our group. And thank you to everyone else who's been of service tonight as well. It's time for our weekly segment of That Ain't in the Book. We sometimes hear things in meetings that can't be reconciled with what the book actually has to say. One of those things that we often hear is, I'm powerless over people, places, and things. And Donald is going to come in and share with us what the book has to say from page 89 in the second paragraph.
And my name is Donald, and I'm a very grateful, recovered, but not cured alcoholic, and this is what it says. It says that you can be of help when no one else can. You can secure their confidence when others fail.
Thank you,
Remember, they are very ill.
Thank you, Donald. As we study, please be sure to use your pens, highlighters, and rulers. And we use the study guide prepared by Joe and Charlie and Krusty Cliff of the Dallas Primary Purpose Group to stay focused and consistent. We read the material once, then dissect it through the question and answer format. After tonight's study is read, we will ask questions from the imaginary podium. Answers will be one sentence unless otherwise specified, taken directly from the study portion. This helps us understand and apply the content clearly.
You know something that needs to be added back to this, Trish? I'm just going to say it right now. And multi-part questions are split up by commas, semicolons, hyphens, and other fun bits of punctuation, because that's the way it works here. After the study, we open the meeting for comments and questions based on the pages we just read. Our purpose here is to stay in the book and let the message do the work. If shares drift into something better handled with a sponsor, we will kindly point you that way.
Bill W. wrote, "Sobriety, freedom from alcohol, through the teaching and practice of the 12 steps, is the sole purpose of any IA group."
Before we begin the recap tonight, we could use 5 or 6 virtual hands raised to be volunteers to read the answers after the study portion. If you don't know how to raise your hand, if you go down to reactions, and click on it, you will see a feature to raise your hand. And it is time to bring in Shayla to read our recap. And again, let me cover that real quick. Tonight, recap starts on page 63. Welcome, Shay.
Hello, I'm Shayla. I'm an alcoholic. Next, we launched out on a course of vigorous action, the first step of which is a personal house cleaning, which many of us had never attempted. Though our decision was a vital and crucial step, it could have little permanent effect unless at once followed by a strenuous effort to face and to be rid of the things in ourselves which had been blocking us. Our liquor was but a symptom. So we had to get down to causes and conditions. Therefore, we started upon a personal inventory. This was step 4. A business which takes no regular inventory usually goes broke. Taking a commercial inventory is a fact-finding and fact-facing process. It is an effort to discover the truth about the stock in trade. One object is to disclose damaged or unsellable goods, to get rid of them promptly and without regret. If the owner of the business is to be successful, he could not fool himself about values. We did exactly the same thing with our lives. We took stock honestly. First, we searched out the flaws in our makeup which caused our failure. Being convinced that self manifested in various ways was what had defeated us. We considered its common manifestations. Resentment is the number one offender. It destroys more alcoholics than anything else. From it stems all forms of spiritual disease, for we have been not only mentally and physically ill, we have been spiritually sick. When the spiritual malady is overcome, we straighten out mentally and physically. In dealing with resentments, we set them on paper. We listed people, institutions, or principles with whom we were angry. We ask ourselves why we were angry. In most cases, it was found that our self-esteem, our pocketbooks, our ambitions, our personal relationships, including sex, were hurt or threatened. So we were sore. We were burned up. On our grudge list, we set opposite each name our injuries. Was it our self-esteem, our security, our ambitions, our personal or sexual relations which had been interfered with? We were usually as definite as this example. I'm resentful at Mr. Brown. The cause, his attention to my wife. Told my wife of the his attention to my wife affects my sex relationships. He also told my wife of my mistress, which affects my sex relations and self-esteem. Mr. Brown may get my job at the office, which affects my self-esteem. Resentful at Miss Jones. She's a nut. She snubbed me. She's committed her husband for drinking. He's my friend. She's a gossip, which affects my personal relationship, self-esteem. My employer. The cause is unreasonable, unjust, overbearing, threatens to fire me for drinking, and padding my expense account. It affects my self-esteem, security. Also, my wife. She misunderstands and nags. Like Brown wants house put in her name, which affects my pride, personal sex relationships, and security. We went back through our lives. Nothing counted but thoroughness and honesty. When we were finished, we considered it carefully. The first thing apparent was that this world and its people were often quite wrong. To conclude that others were wrong was as far as most of us ever got. The usual outcome was that people continued to wrong us and we stayed sore. Sometimes it was remorse, and then we were sore at ourselves. But the more we fought and tried to have it our way, the worse matters got. As in war, the victor only seemed to win. Our moments of triumph were short-lived.
Thank you, Shayla. Excellent job. And now, Nancy, come on in. It is your turn to read the study portion.
Thank you, Nancy Alcoholic. It is plain that a life which includes the presentment leads only to futility and unhappiness. To the precise extent that we commit this, we do squander the hours that might have been worthwhile. But with the alcoholic, whose hope is the maintenance and growth of the spiritual experience, this business of resentment is infinite good. We found that it is fatal. For when harboring such feelings, we shut ourselves off from the sunlight of the spirit. The insanity of alcohol returns and we drink again. And with us, to drink is to die. If we were to live, we had to be free of anger. The grouch and the brainstorm were not for us. They may be the devious luxury of normal men, but for alcoholics, these things are poison. We turn back to the list, for it held the key to the future. We were prepared to look at it from an entirely different angle. We began to see that the world and its people really dominated us. In that state, the wrongdoings of others, fancied or real, had power to actually kill. How could we escape? We saw that these resentments must be mastered, but how? We could not wish them away any more than alcohol. This is our course. We realized that the people who wronged us were perhaps spiritually sick, though we did not like their symptoms and the way this disturbed us. They, like ourselves, were sick too. We asked God to help us show them the same tolerance, pity, and patience that we would cheerfully grant a sick friend. When a person offended, we said to ourselves, "This is a sick man. How can I be helpful to him? God save me from being angry. Thy will be done." We avoid retaliation or argument. We won't treat sick people that way. If we do, we destroy our chance of being helpful. We cannot be helpful to all people, but at least God will show us how to take a kindly and tolerant view of each and everyone. Referring to our list again, putting out of our minds the wrong others had done, we resolutely looked for our own mistakes. We been selfish, dishonest, self-seeking, and frightened. Though the situation had not been entirely our fault, we tried to disregard other person involved entirely. Where were we to blame? The inventory was ours, not the other man. When we saw our faults, we listed them. We placed them before us in black and white. We admitted our wrongs honestly and were willing to set these matters straight. Thank you. The end.
Thank you so much for your service tonight, Nancy. Well done. And for our answer readers, please speak clearly. Follow the text sentence by sentence. If you lose your place, you may pass, or I will redirect you to the proper place to guide you. And let me get the study portion up here. Everyone is unmuted. Joanne, you need to still unmute. So here, let me send you an unmute key.
And Larry.
And our batting order tonight will be Larry, Jacqueline, Linda, Joanne, Nancy, and the fireman. So, kicking it off with you there, Scuba Pickle. Page 66. What becomes plain?
It is plain that a life which includes deep resentment leads only to fertility and unhappiness.
Thank you. And Jacqueline, what is the result of thinking about what they did to us and how we are going to get even with them?
To the precise extent that we permit these, do we squander the hours that might have been worthwhile?
Thank you. Linda, a two-part question for you. A, what is the hope of the alcoholic who is trying this program? And B, resentments are a serious matter to alcoholics?
But with the alcoholic whose hope is the maintenance and growth of a spiritual experience, this business of resentment is infinitely grave.
Thank you so much. And Joanne, coming to you, how serious are they?
We found that it is fatal.
Thank you very much. And Nancy, what do we give up by replaying our old resentments?
For when harboring such feeling, we shut ourselves off from the light of the Spirit.
Thank you. And Fireman, welcome, my friend, and congratulations on your birthday. What happens then?
The insanity of alcohol returns and we drink again.
Thank you. And Larry, coming right back to you, does the alcoholic quit drinking?
And with us, to drink is to die.
And Jacqueline, if we are going to live, what must happen?
If we were to live, we had to be free of anger.
Thank you. Linda is thinking about the way we can get even okay for alcoholics.
The grouch and the brainstorm were not for us.
Thank you. And Joanne, you get a two-part question. A, How about for non-alcoholics? And B, but for alcoholics, they are what?
They may be the dubious, the luxury, or normal men, but for alcoholics, these things are poison.
Thank you. And Nancy, you get a two-part question. A, what do we go back to? And B, what does it hold for us?
We turn back to the list, for it held the key to the future.
Thank you. And coming right back at you, Rick, what are we now prepared to do?
We were prepared to look at it from an entirely different angle.
Thank you. Larry, what do we begin to see?
We begin to see that the world and its people really dominated us.
Thank you. Jacqueline, does it make any difference whether or not the event that caused the resentment actually happened? 2 sentences.
In that state, the wrongdoing of others, fancy or real, had power to actually kill. How could we escape?
Thank you. And Linda, what did we see?
And we saw that these resentments must be mastered, but how?
And Joanne, can we carry out a decision to drop all of our resentments and forget them?
We could not wish them away any more than alcohol.
Thank you. And Nancy, coming to you, what will be our course?
This was our course. We realized that the people who wronged us were perhaps spiritually sick.
And Rick, what did we see about the ones who offended us?
Though we did not like their symptoms and the way these disturbed us, they, like ourselves, were sick too.
And I'm going to be coming in with the first of a few comments. The following is the 4th step resentment prayer.
And Larry, coming right back to you, what do we ask God?
We ask God to help us show them the same tolerance, pity, and patience that we would cheerfully grant a sick friend.
Thank you. Jacqueline, when a person hurts us, what do we pray? Read the rest of the paragraph, please.
When a person offended, we say to ourselves, "This is a sick man. How can I be helpful to him? God, save me from being angry. Thy will be done."
This prayer is often referred to as the sick man's prayer. But there is also a prayer for us to save us from being angry. Could this be the beginning of forgiveness? It is not possible to be angry and helpful at the same time.
And Linda, coming to you, what do we avoid?
We avoid retaliation or argument.
Thank you. Joanne, why do we avoid that?
We wouldn't treat sick people that way.
Thank you. Nancy, what might happen if we do?
If we do, we destroy our chance of being helpful.
Thank you. And Fireman, you get a 2-part question. A, can we help everyone? And B, what is the promise of the resentment prayer?
We cannot be helpful to all people, but at least God will show us how to take a kindly and tolerant view of each and every one.
Thank you. Larry, coming to you, what do we do next?
Referring to our list again.
And Jacqueline, 2-part question. A, as we begin, what do we disregard? And B, whose mistakes do we look for?
Putting out of our minds the wrong others have done, we resolutely look for our own mistakes.
Thank you. And Miss Linda, what specifically are we looking for?
Where have we been selfish, dishonest, self-seeking, and frightened?
These are the character defects, shortcomings, the exact nature of our wrongs, etc.
Okay, so let's see. We finished with Joanne. So Nancy, it's coming to you. Though a situation had not been entirely our fault, what did we try to do regarding that person?
Though a situation had not been entirely our fault, we tried to disregard the other person involved entirely.
Okay, and Nancy, you're going to answer this question as well. Is it all right to place some of the blame on them? Read the same sentence again.
Though a situation had not been entirely our fault, we tried to disregard the other persons involved entirely.
Thank you. And Rick, we are looking for what?
Where were we to blame?
Thank you. Larry, whose inventory is this?
The inventory is ours, not the other man's.
And Jacqueline, what do we do as soon as we see our faults? 2 sentences, please.
When we saw our faults, we listed them. We placed them before us in black and white.
Thank you. And Miss Linda, you get the final question of the night, I think. Hang on. Yep, that's the end of it. What is promised as a result of closely following the directions?
We admitted our wrongs honestly and were willing to set these matters straight.
Remember this promise of becoming willing. You will thank God for it when you arrive at step 8.
Thank you, everybody. Great job. And everybody can remute themselves, and hands are dropping. And now the meeting is open for, let me get back to my script, open for sharing. If you have experience with these pages that we read tonight, you are free to share. Please stay on topic and be mindful of your time. You will see a 5-minute timer at the top of the screen. And just a friendly reminder that absence of profanity offends no one. We are now open for comments, questions, observations, and spiritual experiences based on the studied material. Oh, it's going to be a dental chair kind of night, I can see. That's it. Might as well pack up and go home. Nobody's got any experience. Come on in, fireman.
I just wanted to kick it off. The more I go through these pages right here on the work, the more the directions and on how to do this is plain and simple right there in front of us. The difficulty is the willingness to put it on paper, trying to have others do it. And they do it, but there's always one or two who have a hard time. This is, putting yourself on paper, and why do I got to do that? I says, because when it's on paper, you see the reality of it, of who you were and who you can be if you don't. This is because as people talk about the 10th step and making an inventory list at the end of the day. Where how did the day go? I mean, I'd rather stay in these pages. It's like taking a wrench and screwdriver to something, to an engine you want to keep running right. Make sure you keep tweaking it and making sure it's well oiled and all that, because all this stuff that I put on paper before and I still can is all this stuff is still here with me. But what I've learned is that I can't use that. I can't use those things that I have. Those defects of character, those wanting to shout back when I'm shouted at, and like it happened yesterday when I told somebody something and busy, I'm this and that. All I was doing is letting you know, take care of it when you can. So I didn't engage. I left it. I didn't want to collect any of it, of the mess that was starting to come my way, you know. Um, the inventory was ours. You know, I do listen to speakers when I am home exercising, and especially doing back exercises. One stopped me dead in my tracks. Of course, he was joking. He said, if you know anybody that if you have a sponsee doing this work and he has difficulty writing it, have him take it to the person he doesn't like and give them the pen and paper. Let them do the writing. And that kind of set me off in laughter for a couple of minutes. Yeah, I said, yeah, right, yeah. And then here's the kicker, you know. I said, that might work, you know. But no, I'm not going to tell anybody to do that, you know. I may tell them the joke I heard, and that's it. You know, and it all just points the finger to us, especially 67, referring to our list again. It just keeps them fingers pointed at us. Here's what you're writing about, no matter what the other person presented. And when we start clean, that's how we clean up ourselves. That's how we start to get rid of the behavior. How do we get, you know, I can be cut off today and still have a reaction, but it's nothing like I used to, you know, on the horn, give the salute, the traffic salute, I call it sometimes. You know, I may not like it still, but I just say, hey, you know, why do I get upset when it happens just about every day? When, you know, I'm sure it happens to all of you. You're out there, and that's just one of the areas for me, you know. Like I said, dealing with a person yesterday, telling him about something, and well, I can't do that. You know, I don't want to practice these. I don't want to keep using these defects of character I still have. Why is he removing them? He's removed the drink problem, so I am extremely grateful for that. That's what grateful is there for. I'm grateful for that. So I'm going to shut up now. I don't know. I don't see no diamond, Jamie, so let me go on, ain't you?
That's because Trish and I both forgot it, but you're good, brother.
Here you go. You're blaming another. You're blaming Trish.
Well, we just never discussed who was going to do it,
you.
but it's okay. I got it, Trish.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, brother. Scuba Pickle, come on in.
Yeah. For many years, you know, I let resentments really build up in me, and I was never really free of anger. It says here, we turn back to the list for it held the key to the future, but here it is, and the reason was because it dominated us. The wrongdoing in others, fancied or real, had the power to actually kill. How could we escape? And for many years, I had played the role of victim. I laid out my resentments for what people had done, but I really did not and was not really honest in what my part of it was. I was not very honest in that part and got away with it. But it did me very little good in my own recovery. And so I stayed resentful and I stayed angry. And 4 years ago, I got a sponsor that did not let me get away with it, you know. And he loved me. He really, really loved me. And when you know, he did not pick up my list and say, okay, you left off here, so we'll start from there and take resentment from this point. He took me all the way back to the beginning. And referring back to the list again and putting out of our minds the wrong others had done, we resolutely look for our own mistakes. And he made me honestly look at my own. And what it did was I realized that I had resented some of these people out of my own fancied imaginational mind. They really did not do that much to me compared to what I had done to deserve what I had done to them, and therefore I really had no cause for resentment, and it was a fancied resentment. It was a resentment that I should have never had I been honest. And so that resentment fell away. It just kind of dropped off in my life, and it was like an amazing healing that took place in my life, and where all that selfishness and dishonest and self-seeking and fear and all this that was dominating my life began to fall away, and love began to fill it, and God began to fill it, and I began to see what emerged was what a different man, a different person, a person that could be used by God. And every day is a new day. Every day is a new experience. And every day God's showing me new things about myself. And I'm so grateful today because this program is here, and because somebody loved me enough to not let me get away with not being honest. And that's all I got.
Thank you, Larry. Wow, you beat the clock. Linda, come on in. Welcome.
Hi, my name is Linda. I'm an alcoholic. And this business of resentments and this business of taking a deep dive, looking at myself, I didn't even know I had character defects. I didn't know what character defects were. I just figured there was some things about me that I was being rude, but I didn't understand what a character defect was, And I had one person yell at me in a meeting. They said, "Oh, you just a defect looking for a character." And I just, I was like, these people in AA are not nice. They're not nice at all, And I had to do that fourth step. Did a fourth step with someone that was so nice and sweet. The next time I did a fourth step with someone else, they pulled it all. They said, we getting pen to paper, we putting it all out there. And this lady got real, and this lady got honest with me about herself. And then I was able to open up and get honest about myself and the things that I did. And there was a whole lot of fear in there. There was a lot of anger. There was a lot of resentments. And the resentment, you keep thinking about something over and over, keep getting angry about it and holding on to it. And feeling, I'm being vindictive. I'm going to eventually get that person. I didn't get anyone back. The only person I hurt was myself. Giving myself an ulcer, putting a hole in my stomach by being angry all the time. And when I did that fourth step, I was able to look at a lot of these resentments. And after doing that fourth step, I felt so relieved because I realized I didn't have to stay angry. I was angry for so many years, for so many reasons, and I didn't know why. And I'm so glad I did the 4th step with that particular person. And they were not nice either. But you know what? Them not being nice and them keep drilling through that rock, through that brick wall, it relieved me. It kept me from drinking. And I was free. I was free from bondage of all of this anger, all of this fear. For me, the biggest part was fear. You know, it was fear. Fear of this, fear of that. And then I had to go all the way back even further to when I was 16, my mother died. So I had a fear of people leaving me. So that came up. Fear, 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 all over the place, you know. And then how it masked itself was with anger and resentments. And I got resentment with my mother, and I had to put that pen to paper. How dare you leave me? How dare you die? I had to get honest about that. And I didn't want to be honest because I loved her. So I figured, how can I love her and be angry, but at the same time? It's possible, you know. But you don't understand, not you. For myself, I didn't understand these things. I coming to AA, hearing other people's stories and their strength and their hope, and them getting honest about these areas and these situations and these topics and these subjects we don't want to. I was like, damn, that person said that in the meeting? Wow, they got some courage. And I had to understand it wasn't courage. It was just the fact that they had come to terms with it. They had resolved it and settled it. And it was no longer holding them hostage like my resentments were. I was addicted to my resentments. I put, you know, rainbow sprinkles on them and had fun with them, you know? And that's no way to be. You will drink. Believe me, you will drink. And I had a situation where before I got my knees replaced, I had fear all over the place. Because as a child, I had not been able to walk. And when they gave me operations, I wasn't able to walk. So that was going to cut, that came back up. And I said, oh my gosh, I'm going to be in the hospital for a month. I'm going to have a big cast. And one lady said, I want you to go through this whole list. And I want you to tell me why you can't get this operation. I said this and that. She said, but that was how many years ago? She said, the medical technology has advanced. She said, you're going to be able to go through it. Even though your mother's not alive, you're going to be able to go through it. And when I asked one doctor said, are you kidding me? It's an hour and a half. He said, we don't put no cast on your leg. He said, I know what they did back in the 60s and 70s. But we don't do it like that anymore. And he sat down and he spoke to me. And people in the rooms helped me. People that had knee replacements. They're like, man, I can walk. I was like, what? But I was in that whole situation when I was a kid. I was stuck in there. I hadn't come up to the present. You know, and I'm so glad that I spoke to someone about that. Because, you know, what someone said, I'm going to say this and shut up because I know I'm not going to be able to beat the clock. You know, pain is unavoidable. Pain is unavoidable. But suffering, that's a choice. You know, and my pain outweighed my fear. And I was desperate, and people in the rooms helped me. Thank you for letting me share.
Thank you, Linda. And Trish and then Donald, you lowered your hand, but you can come back after Trish if you like. I'll set the timer on her.
Good. Hi, everybody. I'm Trish, and I'm an alcoholic. And I love that first line. Deep resentment leads only to futility and unhappiness. And, you know, it also leads to depression and a whole bunch of other things. And in my case, that resentment led to, among other things, not just the resentment, but other things, life led to years of depression that I denied was happening. I knew it was there, but I denied it, didn't want to talk to anybody about it. And I was shut off from the sunlight of the Spirit and from the sunlight of anything and everyone who wanted to try to help me. And this was years into sobriety, because when I did that first 4th step, there were things that I swore I was going to take to the grave and I wasn't going to tell anybody. And then a few other things came up and I just never bothered looking at them. And it said, if we were to live, we had to be free of anger. And I couldn't recognize the anger that I had because that meant I was going to have to look at that resentment, and I wasn't willing to look at that resentment. But then further down, the real truth of the matter for me was the wrongdoing of others, fancied or real, had the power to actually kill. And my spirit was killed. My spirit was close to lifeless. But most of it was all made up in my own head. And it was blame that I put on others. It was resentment that I built on others. A lot of it because I wanted to blame my alcoholism on somebody else. I didn't want to be responsible for it. So, since I couldn't accept my alcoholism and was trying to blame it, that brought on a whole lot of resentment, a whole lot of anger, a whole lot of fear, a whole lot of other things. All fancied. Most of it fancied. There was a little bit there. But until I was willing to sit down and look at that part of my fourth step that I had never looked at, was never willing to, I wasn't going to get out of that darkness. I remember hearing in a meeting, maybe it was a meeting, it was somewhere, don't stop living while you're still alive. And that really hit. Because I did. I wasn't living, I was purely existing. A lot of it based on this resentment. And then when I was finally able to look at the resentment and make a 20, 30-year-old past due amends, my life changed. My relationship with my parents changed. And, you know, we have a relationship now that I never thought that we would be able to have as a direct result of getting honest, doing that fourth step, and looking at the truth. Not looking at my imagined truth, but looking at what the truth actually was. And being able to go back to them and say, hey, I did this stuff. And I shouldn't have done this stuff. And I lived a lot of time in that this is a sick man, this is a sick woman, how can I be helpful to them? But it was very hard to be helpful to them when I was still carrying that resentment. God saved me from being angry. There were a lot of empty words that I said over those years because I didn't have the willingness to forgive until I had the willingness to look and realize that what I was resenting wasn't 100% real. It was stuff I had made up. Not all of it. There was some of that resentment was real, but some of that resentment I made up just to build it up in my head. Where can I put this blame on somebody else? And when I finally became willing, that was for me definitely the beginning of the forgiveness. The forgiveness of them for what I thought they did, what I blamed them for, what they didn't even do. But also the forgiveness for me that they were able to do, because they finally understood why I was so estranged from them. So where were we to blame? I was to blame in a whole lot of places. Keeping secrets, not talking to them, not being honest, not telling them who I was or what I was. But for so long, what I thought they did came in front of what I actually did, until I finally got willing to put it on pen and paper and look at it for real and not just made up in my mind. And the time went off, so I'm done. Thanks.
Thanks, Trish. Gandalf!
Who, me? You gonna follow me now? All right. Hey, good evening, everyone. I am Gandalf the Red Pickle, and I'm so glad to be here with you guys, my family and stuff. Hi, Shayna. I didn't see you earlier and stuff, but I'm glad to see you here. And I'm a grateful, recovered, but not cured alcoholic. And, you know, whenever I read that first one over again and stuff, you know, page 417 come to mind and stuff because, the deep resentments. And then, I look back here on page 417, when I am disturbed, it is because I find some person, place, thing, or situation, some fact of my life unacceptable to me. But that doesn't mean that, I don't want to say this, that what I saw in that person, place, or thing and stuff was my own cause. And whenever, we do a 4-step and stuff, we realize, that most of it is all up here. And until we can do that, we can find no serenity. And all that time, in my past and stuff, I didn't want to accept, that it was my fault. Of course not. No. I'm an alcoholic, right? But once I realized, that the way that I was treating other people was a direct response to how I was treating them. And all the time that I squandered, thinking about how I can get them back instead of how I could love them. Today I'm at peace with everything that I can do. I don't look for the bad things, and I forgive the people, who did accidental things to me. But, it was an accident, It is what it is, and I just need to accept it. Doesn't mean that they're a bad person or anything like that. It's just that that's what it was, and that's how it is. And, it did not have to make me want to drink. So, just because you do something, it might affect up here, but it just does not require that reaction to hit the bottle. Because I know today and stuff, being sober for as long as I have, I am grateful that I don't have to react. I can act, but I don't have to react. It's no longer that that knee-jerking response. It's like, okay, if something can be done, let's do it. Think about the serenity prayer. Change the things we can. So I do. And accept the things that I can. And the knowledge to know the difference. So, there's so many other things I could go on and stuff, but it's like I got to get out of here. I just got a call that I got to go drop something off to somebody before another meeting that I have to go to and stuff. And I love you all so dearly and stuff, and we'll see you guys next week.
Thank you, Donald. Love you, brother. Who is next, folks?
My name is William Alcohol. I just want to say hello to everybody, and thank God for this being a repetitious program, and definitely in the writing bills, you is a worthy guy, and there 100 people is a worthy guy, And when I came to Alcoholics Anonymous, it was explained to me in that first step, it was two parts to it, and the first part was I was powerless over alcohol. And the second part of my life was unmanaged. The unmanageable part, they was talking about my emotions, So there was no balance in my emotion when I came to Alcoholics Anonymous. I was either angry or in a rage, because of situation that was going on in my life I had no control over, So I like the way Bill start in the old timers told me like this, because you got to be simple with me. Come from a simple place in life around simple people, And they used to tell me something like this: it's only 10% was the alcohol, other 90% was your thinking, you know. And my sponsor told me like this: he said, you're a very sensitive person, and you want what you want when you want it. Okay. Now, and Bill, he talked about suffering and self-centeredness. I couldn't see me being like that because I did a lot stuff for other people. Even when they were in my stoop. I would buy people stuff, do this for people, do this. But whenever they threw the curveball at me, the curveball was when you do it, you don't expect nothing back. So I began to get with the program. And the one that stood out at me today, most today, and I really got a lot out of the reading tonight to help me because, like I said, it's a repetition program, to help me continue to grow and stuff, As the writers, as the authors began to write this, they was talking about the sick man prayer, you know, and God, this is a sick person, how may we help to thee, you know what I mean, to help you with the emotional balance, And then he get on down here a little bit further, he come back again and says the same thing, but he said it in a different way this time. He says that, what was that? He says, we try to disregard the other person involved entirely, where we was to blame. We tried to involve, that, and when you read it the second time, it sort of drove the point home. You know what I mean? And then what it came to mind that Bill went on in the spiritual action, he said the same thing because I couldn't understand. Anytime I'm emotionally stirred, no, I didn't do that. So what do? I try to set some kind of boundaries. I trust God, you know what I mean? Because that's how I built my relationship. I built my relationship with God, you know what I mean? And then I could build a relationship with you, And the program, definitely the program became part of the whole pie, the program became part of that too. So when these things crop up, and then I look at God as who have forgiven me, so why can't I forgive you? You know what I mean? And sometimes I ain't gonna tell you it easy now. I don't do it perfect. Sometimes it's hard, but it don't drag me like it used to. It don't drag me to a drink. So far, it haven't dragged me to a drink, and it haven't made me hurt nobody where I'm go out and hurt nobody. Hurt myself, just for that moment of insanity that I go to. But I know who I could come to get back on track. I come to a meeting, call my sponsor, share with another recovered alcoholic. The wheels could run off anytime. Man. I tell you, So I've truly been blessed because of that. Because my relationship is so much better with people, places, God, and things since I had this film. I'm not quite there perfect. They told me, the only time you get perfect with these character defects 5 minutes after you die. I truly believe that, because it's all up here. So I'm just happy to be here with y'all tonight. I'm sorry for coming in late. I've been dealing with a whole lot of issues, and most importantly for myself, I've been dealing with sleep apnea. If anybody know what that is, man, yeah, I tell you, it's like this. If that free air out there, if you don't know how important that free air that we breathe every day, your sleep apnea, your muscles start, everything just go haywire when you don't get enough air. And you can't stay awake. So I'm glad to be here. And that's small compared to what other people go into. I have to look at it that way so I can keep my sanity, So I'm good to be here. Hello to everybody, and thanks for allowing me to share.
Thanks, William. Good to see you, my friend. Who would like to go next? Come on in, Jacqueline. Welcome.
Hi, group. My name is Jacqueline M., and I'm a recovered alcoholic. And this has been a good meeting. Coming into AA, the only thing I could think of, I was a very angry person, and I could see now what they mean, such shedding the sunlight of the spirit from out of my life, because I always thought that things were being done to me. I never looked at my part, and it was until I was willing and to go further in the steps. That step 4 helped me to begin to um, look at me. It's just like looking in a mirror. And it didn't happen overnight. It happened slowly, and I was seeing how fear, um, really masquerade or dominated my life, and from that, a lot of resentments appeared. I was one that where it says we begin to see that the world and its people really dominated us, and they did, and I'm talking about without your drink, in this state, the wrongdoing of others, fancy real had power to actually kill. How could I escape? Whether it was real or whether it was fancy, what others was doing, they had. I allowed them to have more power than my higher power. I wasn't leaning into God. I wasn't asking for help, and it caused a lot of problems in my early recovery. Even though I would say these prayers, and the 4th step prayer, and I'll never forget, especially this particular instance. I was in a relationship, and oh man, had a lot of resentment, a lot of anger, a lot of fear. And I remember the guy and I, we lived together for a while, and I remember he would come home and he would be whistling Dixie, and all happy and stuff. And the more he whistled, the angrier I got, you know. And I remember my sponsor taking me to this page. We asked God to help us. No, what is it? No, we say we ask God to help us show them the same tolerance, pity, and patience. Okay, no, this is a sick man. How can I be helpful to him? God save me from being angry. That will not mine be done. And I remember I would say that prayer, and the more I would say that prayer, it was just like a pot of water on the stove, you know. And he whistling, and I'm saying that prayer, and look like the more he said that prayer, the more that I on the stove, and just got hotter and hotter and hotter, and for the life of me, I could not let it go. I could not let it go. Uh, um, it damn near ran me crazy. It really did. But it came a time in my life, a time in my recovery. I just got tired. I mean, I got tired. And I had to really ask God to help me to, along with a sponsor, to help me with this, and I guess I go back to the 3rd step, you know, um, um, it says all by yourself in your own circumstances. Only the individual has to develop enough quality and willingness to exert himself or herself. Even though my sponsor was taking me to different pages, telling me what to do, but I had to develop that willingness. I mean, to put what was in just a big book into action, and I, I said, this was a course. We realized that people who wronged us was perhaps man, that went fast. Either y'all clock as fast or I talk slow, and I keep coming back. It happened to me twice this week. I got to speed up on my talking, but anyway, I like everything I heard, and I'll keep coming back. But today I don't have that anger. like I did. I have allowed God to enter into my life, and I have begun to practice what is described in this book, because it gives us clear cut direction if we're willing to take those direction. And God knows I was willing to take those direction. And today, my resentments, my anger is not like it was when I got here. And I like this piece where it says we admitted our wrongs honestly and were willing to set these matters straight. I had to ask for forgiveness, and that same guy, I had to put him on my 8-step list because of the things that I did to him that caused me, that affected me, but it affected me, but I did a lot of harms to him too. So I keep coming back. Thank you.
Thank you, Jacqueline. And the timer is just a guideline. No one has to abruptly stop and pile it into the cement wall. Who would like to go next?
I'll share. Sheila.
Hi, Sheila. Welcome.
Hi, everybody. Alcoholic. Still in the hospital, going on week 3. Yeah, I had a nurse come in, so I'm not sure. Did you get up to perhaps there is a better way? On page 68? Did
No.
you read up to there?
Nope.
No, you didn't get there yet? Okay. I'm sorry.
Keep coming back next week.
How far did you get? I'm sorry. If the word fear is bracketed?
We got to 67 in the final line.
Okay.
We admitted our wrongs honestly, and we're willing to set these matters straight.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, the my part column, I love that, that in this step we're supposed to beginning to learn how to see people as God would see them. God will show us how to take a kindly and tolerant view of each and every one. I love that we learn to forgive ourselves, where we look for our own mistakes, and we begin to put together the list which we use later in 6, our defects of character, and that this step is such a freeing step. I know in step 4, I had many, many situations as a toddler, a child, a teen, a young person, and through life, which I really didn't think I had any part in. Yes, I did have a part in a lot of it, but my sponsor told me as a child, 2, 3, 4 years old, 1, whatever, that I didn't have a part in it. That's where life started to kick the God out of me. And, the kinds of things we hear and some of the shares, which I don't need to get into. But I couldn't blame myself for a lot of things, and I certainly didn't want to blame anybody else because it was poison for me. This step is where I really did face my fears for the first time in sobriety, and I faced them with God and another human being, and it is the most freeing step, especially where we get a chance to really use step 3 to hand over our will in our life, our fears, our sorrows, our shame, and take an honest inventory. And it's one of the most important tools, of course, for our lifetime, for every day when we get to 10, 11, and 12. So I'm not going to share a lot because I'm really not feeling that great. But fear, definitely. I don't feel fear anymore because I do have such a strong faith, even day by day, minute by minute. It is corroding, and but I have my tools now. It did take, I'd say, 5 or 6 years to get going a little bit more on auto cruise, but I sure still work really hard at it. Thanks for letting me share. I'm not going to share for long. I'll let somebody else. I'd love to hear from you, Jamie, before we get off. So I hope you share. Bye.
Thank you, Sheila. Love you, my friend, and get better. You're in my thoughts and prayers. And I am going to share. Good evening, family. My name is Jamie, very grateful recovered alcoholic, and glad you are all here. And before I start my share, I'm going to give Trish a task. This is a perfect opportunity, being in these pages, to post when our next fourth step workshop will be, which we do in this group and take you through in a 63 slide PowerPoint and go into great depth and detail. And if you've never been to it, please, by all means, come and join us. And everything is right out of the book. And why is it out of the book? Because there is no other piece of literature in Alcoholics Anonymous except for the big book that has the directions on how to take the steps. So that's why. Okay, now I'll start the timer on me. Thanks for your patience with that. I love this part of the book. And for me, it became this enormous pathway to freedom. And I love that sick man's prayer, four-step prayer. My sponsor asked me the stupidest question on the planet, if I was willing to forgive that first resentment. I said, hell no, don't you see what they did to me? Don't you understand who they are? You know, and I was so busy being the victim. My sponsor made something real clear to me early on. If I was not living in the solution, I was the problem. You know what? That still applies all these years later. I am blessed to, right at this particular point in the history of my life, be working with 4 people on all of this stuff simultaneously. You know, yeah, we're reading earlier parts of the book, but we're coming into this part, and one of the things that I keep reiterating to everyone is, but we have a pathway for you to heal. But I have to be able to recognize the things on page, at the bottom of page 63, moving into page 64, and you know, we read it in a recap a couple of weeks ago, or last week, tonight, whatever. It says that though our decision, referring to step 3, was a vital and crucial one, it could have little, if any, permanent lasting effect unless followed at once by a strenuous effort to be free of the things which had been blocking us, causes and conditions. Our liquor was but a symptom, therefore we set upon step 4. That's a pretty powerful statement. Here's what I know, is that I've done several inventories in my life. And when I actually did it the way that the book outlined it, and here's the great thing, folks. There are tons of workbooks out there. Hazelton makes one. You know, there's a whole bunch of people out there that make workbooks, right? But you want to know what the real workbook is? The big book of Alcoholics Anonymous and a piece of paper. That's the actual workbook, because the 4th step was never meant to be a check the box. Never meant to be that. It has always been meant to be written out. And we read that tonight. And it tells us to do things like referring to our list again. We look for those areas in ourselves. I'm just paraphrasing that. But I am the problem. When I got to Alcoholics Anonymous, I was told by a very smart woman who said, Jamie, there's only 2 things you have the power to change. That's your attitude and your physical position, and sometimes in order to change your attitude, you need to get off your dead ass and do something different. And what she meant was the action outlined in the steps of Alcoholics Anonymous in the big book. Step 4 changed my life. And it's my goal and my dedication to help other people change their life through this work. And those who I work with know I'm very consistent in the things that I say. And I'm not going to tell you to go do your 4 steps somewhere else. If you want to, that's a free choice. But what I'm going to do is take a person through this work line by line. Help them understand it, help them see it. And this is where the beginning of where we begin to develop the relationship with God. Many people think it's step 3. Nope, that's just the invitation. But as I go into this work, I begin to develop that relationship with God. Step 5 does it even more. Step 6 and 7 do it even more. And I'm going to run over here for a couple of seconds. So, and I'm going to touch on step 3 for just a second. I'm being asked to do something in step 3 that I don't know what it is and who it is. I'm being asked to turn my will and my life over to the care of God as I understand Him. Everybody else has told me how they understand God. I don't understand God that way. And what the hell is my will and my life anyway? All I know is I've been out here in life making decisions based on thoughts, feelings, and emotions, and I've made some really, really bad decisions in my life. So it is the discovery process of step 4 and step 5, both of them discovery processes, that teach me what my will and my life really has been. And it's the process of step 6 and step 7 that show me how to give it to God. So 5 steps in all, starting with 3, ending with 7. And they teach me what it is that I don't even know what it is, and how to give it to who I'm really not sure who it is. And that has been the foundation of building this relationship with God. What an amazing journey it has been. The result of which, there's a place in the book. Give you a hint, it's on page 59. And it says, if you have decided you want what we have and are willing to go to any lengths to get it, then you are ready to take certain steps. I made a commitment to myself 6 or 7 years ago. If someone was willing to go to any lengths, then I was willing to go to any lengths to help them get it. I am not hand you my phone number and hand you a big book and say, here, read this and call me. You know why? Because you're not going to understand what the hell that book's saying. And there's many things that I continue to learn along the journey. Here's what I know. I can never, ever pass into freedom. And I can never, ever learn about forgiveness and having the spirit of forgiveness in my heart without doing a 4-step. Maybe you can, and if you can, you're a far better human than I am. And it doesn't make me special. It just means that I stay immersed in the work so that I can live a better life. And when I work with others, my job is to take your hand and put it in the hand of God. That's my job. And it's really that simple. Thanks everybody for being here. Trish, you want to read us out?
I would love to. From page 164, our book is meant to be suggestive only. We realize we know only a little. God will constantly disclose more to you and to us. Ask Him in your morning meditation what you can do each day for the man who is still sick. The answers will come if your own house is in order. But obviously you cannot transmit something you haven't got. See to it that your relationship with Him is right, and great events will come to pass for you and countless others. This is the great fact for us. Abandon yourself to God as you understand God. Admit your faults to Him and to your fellows. Clear away the wreckage of your past. Give freely of what you find and join us. We shall be with you in the fellowship of the Spirit, and you will surely meet some of us as you trudge the road of happy destiny. May God bless you and keep you until then.
Thank you so much. And folks, if you didn't get a chance to share, you want to talk after the meeting, stay after the meeting. We'll be here for a while. We always do.
Have a good night, everyone.
Afterward.
Thank you.
Good night, Rick. And we've got a real special way of closing out around here. We can't circle up like we do in bricks and mortar meetings, and you can see everybody's paws popping up in the screen, so we virtually hold hands with one another. If you would like to unmute and say the prayer with us, you are more than welcome to. I'm going to touch on one thing real quick. There will be 263 alcoholics who die in the United States tonight from alcoholism. 95,000 throughout the year and over 3 million worldwide throughout the year. Let's take a moment of silence for those that are still sick and suffering and close out with the Lord's Prayer. Here's your moment. Thank you. And who will take us from shame to grace if we let him? Our Father,
Who art in heaven,
hallowed be
thy name.
thy
Thy kingdom come, thy will be done
on
on
earth.
earth as it is in heaven.
Give us this
Give us
day
this day our daily bread.
forgive us our
Forgive us
trespasses
our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us.
and
And
lead us
lead us
not
not into temptation,
but
but
deliver us
deliver us from evil.
for
For
thine
thine
is
is
the
the
kingdom,
kingdom and the power and the glory forever and ever. Amen.
Thanks for staying up with us, folks. Keep coming back.
Thanks, everyone.
Everyone, good
Thanks,
night.
everybody. Have a good night.
Okay.
Happy birthday, Rick.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Congratulations,
Happy
Rick.
birthday, Rick.
Good to see you, brother.
Thank you, AA. Thank you, God.